Are You Really Going to Eat That? Podcast episode 125. Hey there, I'm your host Wendy Hill and I'm a naturopathic nutritional therapist and expert in female hormone health. I specialise in helping women gain confidence and understand their bodies, allowing them to shine. I'm a huge foodie and this podcast allows me to bring you an eclectic mixture of guests where food and health is our uniting passion. So how are we all doing? We are fast approaching the end of January. How are you feeling? Did you make some New Year's resolutions? Are you able to stick to them? This week, I thought in the last of my kind of small habits and resolutions, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about one thing, just one thing, and how that could be the best health decision of the year, not of the year so far, of the whole year. What am I on about? The thing is, in January, lots and lots of us make those New Year's resolutions, don't we? We say we're going to quit alcohol for the month, or maybe, we're going to go vegan for the month, or maybe we even set ourselves I'm going to run X amount of miles before the end of the month. I'm going to do 20,000 steps. I know a few people have committed to doing 10,000 steps a day in January. Absolutely brilliant. Love it. All of these things are really good things that are going to support our health and well-being. And I'm pretty sure if you've committed to any one of those as you're approaching the end of January, you are feeling firstly pretty smug if you stuck to it. So well done you, I'm impressed. And secondly, you're likely to be feeling better. You're likely to be feeling healthier. But then what happens at the end of January, if you had committed to being alcohol-free or you've committed to your 10,000 steps, what happens on February the 1st? Do you still commit to that? Or do you go back to how you were before? And this is part of my kind of issue, shall we say, in inverted commas, issue with those kind of commitments and resolutions, because they are very time specific. And so although you feel the benefit from it, you kind of almost, it's a bit of a case of like, well, I'm just going to get through it. I'm going to manage to do this. I'm going to get through it. And at the end of January, I know I can, if I've quit sugar, I know that I can put sugar back in my diet. And very often, unfortunately, that is what a lot of people do, is make those commitments, feel loads better, but then almost suddenly forget what the reasoning was for making them feel better, feeling healthier, maybe losing some extra weight and stuff. And they end up going back to doing exactly what they were doing before. And that's why this week, I want to talk to you about just making one change and doing one thing. I ask you to make that because I feel that it's a better way of making that long-term commitment. So when I'm working with one-to-one clients, I really encourage them to make really small commitments. And often I can kind of see them thinking, is that it? Is that all she's going to ask me to do? And then by the time we've kind of got a few months into working together and I'm pushing them a little bit harder and asking them to make another change, they're like, oh, okay, this is getting more interesting. But the point is that each little change that they make becomes a habit. And that is how we make those bigger changes. And often from making one change, we find that we actually have another change that happens automatically. So for example, if I say to a client, can you reduce the amount of caffeine that you're having? If you're having 6 or 7 cups of coffee a day, could we reduce that to 4 or 5 cups? And then what happens is actually they are automatically increasing their liquid intake, their fluid intake, their water intake, or herbal teas or whatever, because they are still having a drink. We obviously, we still want that drink, but instead of having caffeine, they might be having a herbal tea or a water. And so they're automatically becoming more hydrated. I've only asked them to do one thing. They've only committed to doing one thing, but they are actually having more than one thing, more than one change as a result. And these are the compounding changes that then start to become new habits. These are the compounding changes which suddenly have a real impact on our health and well-being, because not only are we reducing the caffeine, which is kind of helping with our energy levels, but by increasing our hydration, we're helping with things like brain fog, concentration, our mood, often, early signs of, I always say this, early signs of hunger is sometimes thirst. Sorry, early signs of thirst is hunger. I got that the wrong way around, didn't I? So sometimes if you're thirsty, you're hungry, you might actually be thirsty. I'll try that again. Sometimes when you feel hungry, you might be thirsty, was the point I was trying to make. So actually you might eat less because you're more hydrated. So there's a third change from making one tiny change. And making these tiny changes and committing to them, these are why they can be really beneficial for your overall health, but why I think they're a much better commitment and a much more positive way to approach the year is to just say, I'm going to do one thing. What one thing could I do tomorrow that is going to make my whole day more healthy? So you might pick your breakfast. Often people pick a meal first. They might go, right, I'm going to pick breakfast and I'm going to make breakfast healthier and I'm not going to worry about the other 3 meals. Well, you've already made your diet a third healthier already just by picking one meal to improve. You can see how these have compound benefits. And then people say, well, how come you didn't tell me straight away to, quit whatever the takeaways or whatever? Well, because that was too much. It would have been too difficult and it would have been too big a change. So I asked you to pick a smaller thing that I knew that you'd be able to do, so that you had, also it has that positive impact that if you achieve something, if you can commit to something and you do it, you feel more positive. So next time when you go, can I make this change? You're like, yeah, of course I can, because you have confidence in your ability to make those changes. So what are some of the ideas that you can have to make those changes? I would say simple things like, pick a meal. What meal could you improve for the following day? If that seems too big, how about just committing to one healthy meal a week? So what about having a meat-free day every week? So meat-free Monday was a thing that I don't hear talked about quite a lot and quite so much anymore, but I think it's a great idea. Just one day a week that you consciously don't have meat, or consciously have something that is super healthy. How about reducing your caffeine intake? What about just 1 cup per week? So per day, 1 a week. So if you have 7 cups at the moment, this week just have 6. Next week just have 5. And in 6 weeks, you'll be having none or 1. You might choose to stop at 1. What about trying a new vegetable every week? I think as adults, we kind of get into a position where we think we don't like things, or we haven't tried things and we're a bit like, don't think I like that. So what about just trying a new vegetable every week or a new fruit every week? Walking around the supermarket and looking and going, I don't know what that is. I've never tried it. I don't know how to cook with it, or I don't know how to serve it. I'm going to take it home and I'm going to Google it and I'm going to use it this week. What about add 1 more vegetable to your plate? 1 more vegetable. How hard would that be? Not very, would it at all? But you're adding to the health benefits of your meal by adding a vegetable or a piece of fruit to your plate, every plate. How easy would that be? Making water. I need a bit of water, I think. Making water your first drink of the day. Super simple, 1 change, starting the day right. What about increasing your step count every day? So I talked about those people that do 10,000, commit to doing 10,000 steps in January. That's quite a difficult ask, isn't it? But what if you just committed to increasing your steps every day? 1 more step every day. You're probably not going to do 1, are you? You're going to do more than that. And what a great commitment. 3, you're going to get more every single day. How great is that? How about, I love this one, how about just going to bed half an hour earlier? There's lots of research that suggests that the hours that we get before midnight are worth 2 after midnight. So how amazing if you were to go to bed just half an hour earlier every day, because you're getting equivalent of an hour's extra sleep, because you're getting in, I'm assuming half an hour early will make you go to bed before midnight. I hope so. But if not, half an hour every day until you get to before midnight, but half an hour earlier. Good quality restorative sleep is one of the key fundamentals of health. Now, I talk about it as much as I talk about the food that we eat, nutrition. I talk about sleep so much. It is good quality sleep is vital. So getting an extra half an hour extra sleep would be amazing. So there's some really simple tips that I think I could share with you. Choose one, don't choose them all, and make them small. Make one small change. Commit to maybe making one small change every week. You don't have to do these things. Don't rush into these things. Be kind to yourself, because actually, if we keep making those cumulative changes, like I said, we get, as a byproduct, we will probably get other benefits as well. And it's easy, it's achievable. You feel really proud of yourself when you've managed to make that change, and you can just keep on going. Simple changes. That is it from me this week. I hope you've enjoyed this week's podcast episode. Just a reminder, if you can, I would really love it if you popped over to iTunes and left me a review. It helps other people find the podcast. Don't forget to subscribe so that I am in your earbuds every Wednesday for your weekly dose of Are You Really Going to Eat